Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Chris McGee. James Worthy, Robert Ory, Allie Clifton will join us in a little bit. Mike Trudell will be handling the post-game duties in the locker room. Tough loss in Portland, guys. The shorthanded Laker team battled hard up there in Portland. I think Stu and Bill just said it best. They gave themselves a chance to win that game when a lot of people didn't. They were 8-point underdogs going into Las Vegas, missing their 3-point guards in LeBron, Dennis Schroeder, and THT. And I'll be honest with you guys, they were right there to win. Just didn't hit the big shots. 6 turnovers in that fourth quarter after not turning the ball over in the second and third quarters. Kuz, 0 for 6 from 3. Ben McLemore, 2 for 7. They had some looks and just did not execute down the stretch. Big game, James.
Yeah, I mean, unlucky breaks. I thought, the one play that AD made, I thought he got fouled on that, and I thought, I thought Kuzma's tip-in was good. But having said that, the only thing I can pull from this game is AD is back. He's strong. The Lakers were just outmanned tonight. Damian hit some big shots down the stretch. They were right there. They were right there, Geeter, and I think those turnovers in the fourth were critical when they had the momentum right there, gave Portland the edge. But just a tough loss up in Portland puts them in a tough situation.
Yeah, Dame had 38, and we're going to get to some of those brutal calls in a moment. But Rob, just your thoughts on the game overall.
I thought they played extremely well. They played good defense. Think about it. They hold them for 23 and 24 in that second half. That's good defense, especially when you're going up against one of the hottest teams in the NBA. And you think about it, McCullough is a shooter, Dame is a shooter. Even Powell has come off, once been traded, has been shooting the ball really well. They played good defense. It's just Dame hit some big threes down the stretch.
Yeah. And
those threes weren't just behind the line. They was almost logo threes. And when you got a type of guy that can just shoot daggers like that, it's hard because he was coming off shooting for long range, like I said, but they played good defense. They crashed the boards, and James hit on it a little bit. I love that AD went to work in the paint. He only shot 3 threes tonight, and he had 30-something points, and that's what you want to see out of D when he's when he's in the paint, getting buckets in the paint.
Yeah, I love that too. We'll talk AD in a moment. Listen, in a game like this, moments are magnified, whether it's a missed 3, whether it's a clutch moment. But there were a couple calls that just didn't go the Lakers' way. Caruso had a ball off the backboard for a layup, blocked, no goaltend called. The AD one was tough. We thought it should have been an and one. Not only do they not get the 2 points, they get that taken away. And then it was 94-90 down the stretch. Kuzma with a good follow-up dunk. James, this is a legal basketball play. Kuz with a great, and it does not count. And by the way, that was a huge swing. It was 94-90. Instead of 94-92, James, it went to 100 to 90. It's a 5-point swing.
This one of those referees, I'm not going to say which one, needs to retire. He really does need to retire. They need to reform the inconsistency in how they call the game. Even when they look at a replay, they looked at that replay early in the game where Damian obviously created the contact on Caruso, and Caruso was just sliding his feet, and they went to the replay and still decided that it was a foul when it was obviously not. So they need to reform the referees. They're inconsistent. Players don't know how. I'm not saying that's the reason the Lakers lost the game, but there are critical plays that just get overlooked that, I think determine sometimes the outcome of the game or the momentum switches. So, yeah, I was happy the Lakers played hard. They're good. I think AD healthy. They get LeBron back healthy. Get some playing games under their belt maybe. I think they'll be okay if they're healthy.
And that's where the challenge becomes strategic, and there's only one. And maybe that changes in the future, but right there, like you said, he creates the contact. You don't want to get a foul on Alex Caruso because he's really your only point guard. So you blow that challenge early in the game, and then the refs don't look at the goaltends there at the end, Rob. So it's just something that, doesn't go your way.
The challenge is a crazy thing, and when you don't have a successful challenge, it hurts you because I knew why he did that because Caruso is your only point guard,
and it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, you can't and you can't get him in foul trouble. So, but it's hard when the referees looking at each other and they're like, I'm just gonna go with your call because you're the lead ref, you're the vet, and so I'm gonna have the call. So it's hard, and because the angles from anywhere are different, especially when the bench is jumping up saying that, you kind of feel pressured on the rope. If that would have been in the Staples Center, I guarantee that'd been 2 points.
Also, the magnifying glass goes into that last minute. Listen, there's 10 seconds have already passed on that shot clock. McLemore, Caruso, I think the foul ended up being on McLemore. I thought it was on Caruso. Lakers are down 3, right? So now it goes to 5 because they're getting free throws. You saw AD talking to the guys going, we didn't need to foul there. We just need to defend and get the ball back. We'd have a chance to tie this game and go to overtime. And then out of a timeout, there's confusion. It looks like. We're going to show you this play right here, James. I'm not sure what the confusion was.
I just know this really upset me.
Yeah, Rob, you want to take this one? Because I know you didn't like it.
You know, if you coming out of timeout and now you got this confusion like, yo, and it's almost like Caruso had no clue what was going on in the last 3 minutes of a game, and AD's like, I'm taking out. Then Caruso gets the ball, and he just sits here like, okay, it's the beginning of the fourth quarter, not the end.
Yeah.
And it was just.
They're down 5 with 25 seconds.
Yeah, it was just a lot of confusion. And also, you know, I know Caruso, what he was trying to do there. He says Dame has been getting this call, but you got to understand who you are in this league. Dame is an all-star and a vet. He's going to get calls that you're not going to get. And you got to understand that just because he got it doesn't mean you're going to get. You still got to play solid basketball and don't expect the refs to bail you out.
The ball confusion there at the end. And, you know, there's no excuse for it, but not having any practice time to possibly go over these plays, you know, out of timeout, special plays at the end of the game. There was, you know, no excuse to not know what you're supposed to be doing when you're coming out of a timeout. But, you know, it happened. The Lakers have to really have meeting of the minds right now to see the predicament that they're in and how they're going to come out of it and get to the next stage so that they are in the playoffs. But they put themselves in a tough situation here. You know, lack of players, LeBron not playing, but they'll think about the games that they should have had now. That's what happens now. You think about Sacramento, you start thinking about Toronto, and hopefully that will conjure up some energy so they can focus on what's ahead of them now.
I mean, listen, the energy, the defense, there were things that were absolutely there tonight. Another silver lining because, listen, we all know the 7th seed now is something that's looking right at you. Portland now has a game on you and the tiebreak, and there's only 5 games left. So that's there, and it is a reality. But if you want to go silver lining, it's AD's monster game. Mm-hmm. Everyone wanted this from him tonight, and it was a game where he played 36 points, well enough to win, 12 of 23, hit some threes, got to the free throw line 15 times, which tells you he was attacking. He also had 12 rebounds and 5 assists. So AD is speaking with Mike.
Last night, not even traveling to Portland, and then, wow, AD, he suffers back spasms in their loss to the Clippers, ruled out for the second half. Also tweaked his right ankle, backpedaling into a video board on the sideline. That's the ankle that had him miss 32 games. He says he is going to try to go tonight in Portland. He called it probably the biggest game left in the regular season, and he's right. Here's Dave McMenamin with more on the state of the Lakers.
When it rains, it pours, and things are downright torrential in Lakerland after a blowout loss to the Clippers on Thursday. No LeBron James, no Dennis Schroeder, and no Anthony Davis for most of the night, playing just 9 minutes because of back spasms.
I don't know if we got juju issues around here or something. We just, every game is something different.
Davis said he expects to play in Friday's road game against the Portland Trailblazers. LA has an identical record with Portland with 6 games left to play. Both are in danger of entering the postseason as the number 7 seed or worse and be in the play-in tournament.
Tomorrow's probably the biggest game after these games. So, guys are still optimistic and we're still fighting. And guys' spirits are still high. I think we just got to win the game for real.
A couple of months ago, the thought of the defending champs competing in a play-in would have been absurd. Now, it's starting to feel like a storm front that can't be avoided.
I think I said before we wasn't thinking about the damn play-in game. If it happens, it happens. If we're healthy, I would want to avoid us if I was the top 2 teams. Obviously, we don't want to go that route, but if it happens, it happens. We're going to win games in the play-in and then get ready for whoever we play, first round and take care of business from there.
Man, oh man. So Kendrick Perkins is back with us. So let's say, the reality is neither of these guys is going to be 100% healthy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's say without a relatively healthy Anthony Davis and LeBron James as a tandem. What do you see the Lakers' ceiling being in the playoffs?
Well, Hannah, let me start here and say this, okay? If the Lakers were healthy, they would be my favorite to win it all. But that's not the case, like you said, okay? So with that being said, right now, the current state that the Lakers are in, their ceiling is the second round. I mean, you got to look at the body of work that Anthony Davis and LeBron James has to put in order for this team to be successful. We witnessed it last year in the playoffs when they went on to win the title. They had to put up historical numbers. LeBron James almost had to put up a 30-point average, a 30-point triple-double. Anthony Davis was putting up Shaq-type numbers. That's what they have to do, and they're not going to do that if they're not 100% healthy. We're talking about a aging LeBron James, and I hate to say that because he always proves us wrong about Father Time. But at the end of the day, he's dealing with an injury at the wrong time because they're not able to have practices. So his games are his practices, and they only have about 6 games left. And I don't know if that's enough time for LeBron and AD to get their rhythm and their legs up under them, Hannah.
And they have 2 back-to-backs left. And you said earlier last hour that the reason that AD has those back spasms is trying to play his way back into game condition. It's funny, you know, when you think about LeBron's first year, they were 10th in the West. I mean, that would have gotten them in the play-in.